Hi guys, this is Eric Lowe from Sword Wind Historical Swordsmanship. In a previous video, I shared an interpretation of Marozzo's abattimento for the unaccompanied sword. In this video, we'll be breaking down the last third of the form, or as Marozzo puts it, the last two chapters of the form. We ended our last section, which was defenses against thrusts in Coda Lunga Stretta. That section was all reactive. We were purely on the defensive. Now we are going to take the attack again, this time with somewhat more unusual or involved footwork. The assumption Marozzo gives us is that we're in Coda Lunga Stretta and our opponent's sword is also on their Coda Lunga side. We're going to step forward with, he says, a powerful mandrito to their sword hand. So I am not going to step forward and kind of gently place as if I'm trying to gain the blade. I am going to step forward and hit that thing out of the way. Notice that I am, as always when I'm attacking my opponent's sword, not stepping straight in, because if I miss, this is going to result in me eating a thrust to the chest. This way, if I miss, I still have some room to recover. If I don't miss, and I really have blasted their sword into next Tuesday, I step in again with my right foot, he says, and give a reverso to the legs. Notice that this, the footwork here is cross-body compared to what oftentimes feels natural. Usually, if I am going to be cutting a mandrito from right to left, what is most natural is for my right foot to be moving, so that I am doing something like this, and I am not cutting over my leading leg. In this case, I am still throwing a mandrito, but I am doing it over my leading leg, like this. In order to make that work, in order for my hips to be able to turn enough to really power the mandrito, it's important that my hips be able to turn all the way off to my left. My belly button is pointed to the camera's right now. What makes that possible is that I have turned my left foot out rather than have it pointed straight at the camera, which would lock my hips up here. By turning my foot out, I get many more degrees of rotation, and I can actually throw a real full cut. That is as true on the reverso side. If I'm throwing a reverso and my foot is not turned out enough, then my hips are going to lock up here, whereas I really want them to be able to turn all the way to here. So pay attention to the foot turnout here. This is one of those nuances of Bolognese fencing that looks like it is supposed to just show off your manly calf, and it does do that, but it also lets you move in ways that you otherwise wouldn't be able to move, take angles that you wouldn't otherwise be able to take, and still deliver real structurally solid cuts. So I have cut, I'm going to recover by casting my right foot back and throwing another reverso, which ends me in Coda Lunga Alta. And then he says you're going to step forward and turn into Porta di Ferro Stretta. So again, that first part of this last part of the form, powerful mandrito, out and around, hit the leg, keep it going, re-engage the opponent. We're now into the last part of the form. At this point, Marozzo says, throw your sword into his sword with so that your false edges are touching. Once you have engaged the form, you can step forward, turn your sword hand up. I've now caught my opponent's sword on this side like this and give them an imbricata. Assuming that this doesn't land, and Marozzo does assume that it doesn't land, the opponent is going to shove the thrust out of the way. So my sword is going to do this. At this point, he says you have two options. One, you can step in, grab their sword, and do some kind of presa. Or if you don't want to do that, you can step around to the side and give them double mandriti, which we're going to do just like we did in the first half of the form, where I come in, I assume there's a parry here, I ghost that parry, and I hit them in the face. I end still quite close to my opponent in Porta di Ferro Largo. That is, again, hit to engage, drive the thrust in, assume the thrust is parried, step around, attack, assume there's a parry coming, avoid the attack, and hit them in the face. Lastly, if there is anything still coming, we are stepping around, we are defeating that attack with a falso manco as we step around yet again. Hit them with a reverso. This is very much like the first form, first part of the form, except for our withdrawal, Marozzo has us curl our sword up, back out with an imbricata, which will fall into Porta di Ferro stretta, reset into coda lunga stretta, and the form is over. Once again, we're using our momentum to make that kind of scorpion tail thrust make sense. Hit, hit, step back, back off, and done. Both of those two sections again, section 1, section 2, and we finish the form in the guard we began. Thank you very much.